Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's doing really well. And I'm trying to actually find my little thing of everything that I'm making here. Welcome. I thought it'd be fun to do a class on just like different holiday bites and light snacks. And before I do anything, I'm actually going to ask Carlotta, if she's in the background, just like do a quick wave. Hi. I'm going to give that to you. And I'll give that to you too, to get the compost out of the way. It's one of those things that I like to keep right by me when I cook, just because it's easier to manage and like to keep everything, my whole area neat here. So, since it is the holidays, I'm sure a lot of you are going to be entertaining, whether it's just like your immediate family or if it's, friends, like a more elaborate party. These are some of the things that I just like came up with like over the years, and I had to like revisit a few things later because I forgot how I made them. I had a very dear friend that used to assist many of my classes. Some of you may know Ralphie Jenkins, and Ralph was like, "Yeah, that's really great." He said, "But are you going to be able to make it again?" I'm one of those cooks that can make the dish again. I can repeat it, and usually it might be better the second time around. But he was somebody that really just inspired me to like start writing things down. And then, of course, a couple of people that were working with me when I was creating blogs and creating recipes for our book. Phyllis Reynolds, some of you may know her. She's just like, you gotta write everything down. Kieran McElwain, just a number of people that were just like adamant, like everything needs to be written down, or would like, like take notes for me while I was doing things. So anyway, here we go. So some of these are definitely like all tried and true things that I've done while I've like catered different events. I have had the opportunity to cater a number of very elaborate dinner parties where I've had to literally prepare like a whole side of fish and a number of different sides, and then like things to accompany things. I've done that a couple times. Some of you may or may not know that I provided craft services for a Hollywood film in which James Brolin was an executive producer, and Barbara Streisand came to lunch. So I had the opportunity to cook for her. She enjoyed everything so much that she invited me to her house and and cook dinner there. So I also gave her private chef two private lessons, and we got to hang out a couple times while we were out in Los Angeles. So many of these things, like I said, they're tried and true. They are all very, very much with macrobiotic intention, in that anything and everything I do, I have a sense of balance in mind. So how much salt I use, or how much oil I use, rather, I'm going to use the same amount of like salt to make balance for that. Same as if I have something that may be a little bit more acidic, that gets balanced with salt. So miso is going to be used in some things. So we're going to like mix and match different ingredients, and I just want to get started right away. So the first thing I'm going to do is some of the cook stuff, and then while that's cooking, then I'll show the other things that I had to prepare in advance. There's just no way in and around it. Well, actually, I lie. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water here, and I'm going to ask Lotta to get from Berkey here. First thing I'm going to do is show you how to prepare some sun-dried tomatoes. I make these myself because honestly, I have not found one that I love. Carlotta and I were just talking about artichokes that were like pre-made. I've not found one of those that I love too. Obviously, you can go to a deli and you can go to like Claudio's here in the Italian market, or DiBruno Brothers, but you're just not going to get the same quality that you think, like you are actually getting. Most of those oils that they use in that are going to be cut with a different oil. It's not going to be top-notch olive oil because like it's being made in mass quantities. It's going into like a deli situation. And if that was the case, for a little thing of sun-dried tomatoes, you'd be paying like, like maybe like $15. So you can, however, control that quality if you do it yourself at home. I did find this. This one's from Woodstock Farms, and that is in a base of olive oil with some white wine and vinegar and garlic. So it already has a little bit of seasoning to it. That's a pretty good one. I find the oil to be like a little heavy. Again, I prefer to try to do this myself and make my own. So you can buy sun-dried tomatoes in a packet here. I don't remember if I bought these at Mom's or Martindale's, but any like good store that carries organic ingredients, you can do that. So these are really nice because all it is are sun-dried tomatoes, and they're already cut for you. So if I pull these out, they're going to look like this. And what we'll do here, they need to be reconstituted. So I'm going to get, you know what? I'll get a clear bowl out of it. Give us, and use a clear Pyrex. That way you can see what's going on here. So I'll just take this and I'll put some in there. And I think there is a little bit of sea salt in these too. So it's called Pure Anatolia. So we'll just like make a few right now. They're not going to be ready by the time, but they would be ready to use in a pasta dish or something, but not in the dish that I'm using. So we'll put that off to the side, and I'm just going to boil some water here, and all I'm doing is pouring the water on top of that. I'm not going to like, just basically to cover it, and then that allows the sun-dried tomatoes to soften. Then if you don't like these really long pieces, you have the option of cutting them. And what I do is I have a little jar in my refrigerator. I'm going to pop this open just to show this to you. And this is some juice of the sun-dried tomatoes. It's cloudy and looks funky, but I assure you it's okay. There's a little bit of garlic in there, and the solid pieces are really good quality olive oil, one that I use. I would not be using the top of the line here. So like if you have a really special $30-some olive oil, because you can buy really good things and they're used for different things. Like some things used as a finishing oil, some things used as a salad oil, but like they're very different. This is one that I've been using that I like a lot. It's a Spanish one, or is it Portuguese? I forget. Anyway, that's the name of it. That's a very good olive oil that works well with a lot of things. And why I like it in dishes like this, and I use this in pesto too, is because it's very, very mild. Some olive oils are going to have a bitter finish to it, and that's not always what you want in there. So like if you're looking for something to blend, to marinate, I would choose just a more simple olive oil like this. This is probably 1.5 size, if not double the size of a regular olive oil, and it's organic and just like $30-some. Well, and looking at this, when I picked this, the Aberquina olive, so right there. And on your own time, you can maybe look up different types of olives, but I really like the taste of this particular olive. Also, oliveoillovers.com is running a sale right now. They had a really great Black Friday sale, and that's when I buy a lot of stuff where I'll just like stock up on different things, and it's a great gift item too. So I'll pick the ones that are on sale, and then they have a very special Italian unfiltered one that I like a lot, but that I usually use in cooking. I don't usually use that in a salad thing if I want to like finish a dish off with like a special rich oil. So it's all kinds of different things. Okay, so here we have, almost boiling here. Declare it hot enough. It doesn't have to be And I'm just adding enough there to cover it, just like that. Back further. There we go. Okay. So while that's marinating, then we're going to come over to the stove and we're going to start preparing some of our other things. So I'll start with the mushrooms first because I need to cut some onions for the other dish. And I want to show you some cuts on the peppers too. So we have our little cast iron here. And just going to turn this on. It's not going to be on fire. I'm actually going to use this water that I already had that's hot. And the first thing that we're doing, this was a huge, huge garlic clove. And I'm going to put a little bit of garlic in the pot, just in the hot water. That's working. You know, I did a test run of this dish and I added a little onion to this dish too. So I'll just like that. You don't have to be perfect with your cuts here, but as it's going in. I like the red onion because it's mild and sweet at the same time. And as most of you who know me, I really like to use as much local produce as I can. So at this time of year, well, actually not at this time of year, I start stocking up on root vegetables like carrots, daikon radishes, which will keep in your refrigerator all winter long. And then you have like the luxury and pleasure of using organic vegetables that are grown locally. So that's really quite nice. It's a little bit more sweet here. And then as it starts to come to a boil, with red onions, I salt a little bit sooner. So a little bit of salt goes in there. And it's going to begin to sweat. And then I'm just going to take my mushrooms. So here I have, these are lion's mane. And they're fabulous. My taki is good like this too. I couldn't find any of that now, but I think this just really makes a nice thing. So all these foods that I'm preparing today more or less can be served on their own. They're standalone dishes. But the beauty of it is they all kind of work together too. And I can show you at the end of how I think they work together quite nicely too. So put these in first. Then these are chestnut mushrooms. They have a little bit more coarse stem, so I'll put them in next. I think they're really pretty. I think they have a fabulous taste. Incidentally, this dish can be served over rice or pasta. It probably would work over couscous, kind of like, again, anything that you want. So this is a multi-use dish. And we'll turn the big part off. And then I'll just take my spoon, just fold it over a bit. Now, all I'm going to do here, I'm not even going to add any oil. I'm going to keep cooking this down. So we'll have to pay attention to it when you're cooking and you have a lot going on. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. You can't go and check the score on a game or fidget with this or go like play with your computer or even your phone. You ideally want to pay attention to your task at hand. Get another. And as it starts to reduce a little bit, which it's beginning to do that, then just add a little bit more. So it just like kind of keeps simmering longer and longer. And as it does that, it begins to build up a lot of flavor. So you're going to have a lot of flavor going on here. I will add the oyster mushrooms later. So that's one of our dishes. The second dish we're going to do, start off the same, a little bit of water. Turn on the flame here. Yeah, I know this is not a great idea to do this like I'm doing right now, but I'm running out of space, so I'll just leave it there. They'll be fine back there. Nothing's going to happen to them. So here too, I'm going to get a little bit of garlic. So you could do one of two things. If you like an intense garlic flavor, then you could chop it more fine. If you like a little bit more mild flavor, then you can slice it. If you don't like a lot of garlic, then don't use it. The other option is taking a clove and back of your knife, kind of smashing it a bit, just like that. This one kind of dried out a little bit, but it'll still provide a lot of flavor. And I'm just gonna pop that in there as well. Let this heat up a little bit. This is a whole different dish. So all these dishes are designed to go together with a baguette type of bread or like a sourdough. I found a really nice crusty sourdough on the inside, well, like nice and soft on the inside, but like nice and crusty on the outside. And you can serve them together with a nice thin spread of hummus. And I prepared two hummuses in advance. I have a regular hummus, which you can find the recipe in our book, The Ultimate Guide to Eating for Longevity. And then I also made a sun-dried tomato hummus, which I can either explain that to you or maybe like show more or less like how I did that. So these are also some onions. And this is going to be similar to the ratatouille type thing. And it all pairs well, like I said, on its own or together with the bean. I have a little arugula here, which you can do, like layers of different things. It's like an open faced sandwich. Hit this with like a little bit of salt. If you salt red onions sooner, then it helps them maintain a little bit of their color. But because this is going to be cooked longer, it's not going to remain this particular color. And then I have some red peppers here. So I did not roast these red peppers. I really had a hard time finding organic red peppers. I prefer the red or the orange peppers. I think they're way less acidic. And like if you talk to a lot of like real gardeners, they'll tell you that a green pepper is just an immature pepper because like the longer you let them sit, eventually they turn to a different color. So if we could maybe move the camera over this direction, so I'll show. So here's the red pepper. Now, this little vein here is the capsicum. This is a bell pepper, so it's not going to be, I'm not going to have a problem with this being spicy. You could add some spiciness to this. Probably like the Italian long hots would be really good in this. But that little capsicum thing can be a little bitter. And the idea is for this to be sweet. So the whole thing is when you buy a pepper, it's not going to be as sweet as when you roast it yourself. And the way you roast it yourself is you have a gas stove, then you roast it open over the flame, and then you can put it in a paper bag, or I had always used a metal bowl with some, like a steam. I steam it, and then you can like pull the skin off. But ideally, it's so much nicer without the skin. I think the skin just kind of like gets in the way and like really doesn't add to the dish, and also has like a little bit of a bitter flavor to it. Then we're going to add the pepper next. Move it around. And if you notice, I'm really trying to control the water here. So I'm not smothering this in a ton of water. There's just a little bit here in the bottom of my pan. And by using the cast iron and doing this, I'm in essence roasting it a little bit again. I find chopsticks work great for like the longer cut things. Nothing else, it looks very pretty. Now this is going to take a while, so it's, again, one of those things that you just have to be super patient with. I'll add a little bit here. I'm going to give this turn this down a little bit. Mushrooms are going to stay open, but I'm going to take the lid and I'm going to cover the peppers, and I'm going to simmer on a low. If you wanted to, with this particular dish, you could also add anchovy to it. That would add a lot of flavor. If you were using an anchovy, you would want to use that in the very beginning so it has time to melt into the dish and mingle with the onions. That way, you're not going to get like this intense, heavy, fishy taste. You'll still get the great benefits of eating an anchovy, which they are loaded with nutrients and omega-3s and everything. I'm keeping this vegan for now. Probably if I was making this for a group of people, I would probably go on like the vegan side, but I'm just giving you an option. There's other things I can do. The mushrooms, I would not add anchovies, so I would just like keep this like a vegan dish. Okay, so while we're doing that, then we can move over next to the little food processor. My food processor is the weirdest thing. It's so counterintuitive because instead of going the direction that you think it goes the opposite direction. So this is a tiny little chopper, and I made two different things in this. I made this tofu cream cheese type thing, and I used a quarter of a brick of tofu. There's a teaspoon of grated white onion in here. There's a garlic clove in here. And a teaspoon of umeboshi vinegar and 2.5 teaspoons of white miso. The white miso blended with this gives it a more of a cheesy type flavor. If you're making this dish, ideally you want to do this ahead of time in advance. And if you want to make extra, that's fine, because you can see the consistency of this. It tastes really delicious and probably would mix with some other things. If you added some anchovy to this and a little bit of mustard, it would be an interesting Caesar type dressing that you wouldn't have to use raw egg. For those of you who like Caesar, that gets a raw egg. So just saying. So here we have some regular hummus that I made. And first of all, let's put that there. Grab this, the tomatoes, the other one. No, the one in the jar, the Woodstock. Yeah, yeah, I'm going to use these for this right now. So these are the Woodstock Farm ones. And you're just going to add some sun-dried tomatoes to this mix here. Add a little bit of liquid, some of the, because this is not bad ingredients. And for the noise, I'm just going to hit it with the mini food processor. You could leave this more chunky, or you could leave this or like this, whatever you want. Then you're just going to add regular hummus to it. So it's just an interesting twist of something a little bit different than what people are used to. And then you can take a little bit of cayenne if you like some spice, or not. You don't have to do this. I would err again on the side of caution. And here's some smoked paprika. So that gives it a nice little smoky flavor. And then I believe I had some black olives chopped somewhere. Oh, here they are. So then this gets a little bit of olive in there too. Now this is going to be a much thicker hummus. So if you want, you can just add also a little bit more regular olive oil to the mix there. Take our lid, put it back on there, and we're going to whip this all together. Incidentally, you can make this far in advance too. So I have some pieces here that are, just a little bit chunky, and certainly you can leave it like that. Or, like we have some little things here, you can just do that and start to get dry on the top. But you certainly can just kind of plate it, but it's a much heavier style of hummus. Obviously, that was sitting out for a bit, so let's add a little bit more water to our mushrooms here. This is looking good. It's reducing really nicely. Check this. Nice. Get my pot open. Form some serious seals. The idea here is to cook this till it's really soft. Ideally, I don't want the peppers to be as firm as they are, but I want them to be really nice and tender, and like almost that they begin to melt. So if they start to do that, that's perfectly fine, because remember, it's a topping and it goes on to different things. So I'm going to take the lid. And then here are our mushrooms. Looking really nice. And I'm going to add now the oyster mushrooms. Little remnants, that's fine. That can go right in there. And then I'll take this and fold the bottom into the top. So recently, a friend of ours hiking, does a lot of hiking in the Pocono Mountains, because he does surveying for the park rangers, and found a chicken of the woods. Mushroom was this big. It was like huge, and like brought it in like this big paper bag. It took three of us like over an hour just to like clean it and get everything out. Ideally, you want to soak it a bit, because like you do find little worms in that. This mushroom was so good. I had to cook it in like three different batches, but we had to separate some of the heavier parts of the bottom. But you could use pretty much like all of the mushroom, and it had just like an amazingly like fabulous taste to it. Like really, really, really delicious. Okay, I'm gonna hit this with a little bit more water again. So notice just a little bit of water at a time, right? Oyster mushrooms don't require a lot of cooking. The other ones, just to get a little bit of heat in there, I think they do. Now I'm going to hit it. Well, first I'll hit it with like a little bit more salt, because that's one thing about mushrooms too. They tend to use up a lot of salt. This down. And I'm going to hit it with a little bit of red wine. It's a Malbec. Same friend in Chile. We have friends down there, and brought that back. It's a nice wine. Okay, so now we have that. Then I have some dried oregano here. This is homegrown, not so difficult to dry. It dries on its own. Oh, actually, no, this is my dried basil. You just basically, the end of the season, let it dry on the plant, and then you can pick the leaves off, and you can use them. You wanted to hit this with a little bit of hot pepper, you could. This is a little bit of dried oregano, though. Here again, you only need a little bit, and it gives a lot of flavor, just a tiny bit. Goes a long way. I'm not going to use rosemary because that would remain whole. In fact, there's a little stem that the side that doesn't need that. So not everybody has herb gardens. I understand that. I think they're like one of the easiest and most fun things to grow. But all this you can certainly buy in the store. If you've never gardened before, I just think it's just a really fun, neat thing to do, and gives us satisfaction watching things grow, and then we get able to eat them too. So I grow a lot of different types of basils, cilantro, which doesn't grow so much in the heat, more like in the beginning before it gets like too hot. I have better luck with basils and chives than I do with parsley. And then we're going to let the water reduce a little bit more here, and then I'll hit it with a little bit of olive oil. So here too, if we look at this one, most of that water has reduced. Similar if you're making a Kimpira style vegetable, which this is a saute and simmer. It's Italian style Kimpira, right? Where I don't have like a whole lot of liquid in there anymore. And I'm going to add some artichokes now. What I really like when this is mixing up and just kind of melting a little bit. You could leave it just like this and add capers to it if you wanted to. But I have a little bit of zucchini. And just about time for that. So have here is some miso. So I haven't really salted this much because I have about 2 teaspoons of miso. So I'll just melt this a little bit. Miso cooked with onions and tomatoes and other little pepper type things. And really helpful to discharge old animal foods. So that means like cheeses, more meat, other things. So just like leave that in there, just like that. Zucchini pieces on top there. No, it's not the time of year for zucchini, and this is not something I would like, normally be making a lot of. But it is a holiday, and we just do kind of different things. This lid is like kind of not cooperating. It is the right lid. Okay. So here we have our mushrooms almost all ready. Yep, they're starting to stick a little bit. So the beauty of this pot is you can make a lot of it, and you can actually serve right in this pot if you wanted to. So I'm not cooking the olive oil long. I'm just adding that at the very end. And you don't need a ton of it. It was probably about 1.5 teaspoons for the whole dish. And then hit it again with a little bit of salt. And then turn top into the bottom. And your dish is done. Just like that. So I'm going to turn the flame off, and I'm going to put the lid on to try and preserve some of the heat while we finish up some of the other dishes here. Okay, so we have our sun-dried tomato, and try to dish here. Put this in. This goes to the side. Food processors are interesting. These are super old food processors. So here you can just take this is a little bit, like more chunky style. Just take it and leave it all nice and chunky style. I think that actually it looks really pretty. And this is going to be a much more firm type of hummus. So it goes really well with cucumbers or with carrots, crusty bread. It's really, quite nice. Or I think I probably wouldn't use like the things, but you can hit it again with a little oil if you want. And then what I did was I decorated it with a little bit more of the smoked paprika. It's amazing what a little decoration can do, right? So we'll put that off to the side here. And I just want to take a peek at our zucchini thing we have going on. You add a little bit of olive oil here. Again, that was like maybe a little bit more than a teaspoon. And there's my this is going to be more brown in color, but that's fine. Hopefully your meal will have other things that are green that kind of counterbalance that. The zucchinis are not done. I want them to be like really, again, more or less melting into the dish. So this is definitely something I would probably serve in here And, you know, like you could use like a little ladle type thing too. So the last thing I have is I made this little to take off on a recipe that my mother used to make, a shrimp style pizza dip. Obviously, we're not using shrimp. We're definitely not using shrimp because shrimp makes me itchy. So that's not happening. And what I have here is, this is the base, the stuff that I made here. And I told you all the ingredients that are in that. Then this is a little type of cocktail chili sauce I made. You can just buy chili sauce, but again, like if you're buying stuff, you really have to look at the ingredients. Normally this gets Worcestershire. Worcestershire is not vegan. Now they do have a vegan Worcestershire sauce out right now, but it has so many other weird ingredients in it that I can't go there. If you wanted to get to taste Worcestershire, then add a little bit of vinegar to this, because I do have some ume vinegar in here. You could add a little bit, and lemon goes in here as well. You could add, again, blend when you're using this in the food processor, you could add an anchovy, like one anchovy fillet. These are the anchovies that I like to buy. They are just in 100% virgin olive oil, so we have that there. The brand name is Ortiz. So here again, you have to be like very, very careful of what you're doing. The same thing with like chips and that. Almost every chip is using one of those seed oils in it. It's very difficult to find a clean chip. And I don't know if you're aware, but a lot of the seed oils are just like no good. So the dip, I used tomato paste. This is the same way I make cocktail sauce. Just take a little bit of tomato sauce and I'll just like kind of resurrect it in here, right? So if you do like, I mean, this is really good on pan-fried fish. It's good on a lot of different things. It's for spooner. Can you put it in a little dish? And then here is horseradish. And don't be shy. Like, use that horseradish. I think the more the better. You know, it just gets mixed up like that. For seasoning, I add ume vinegar, one of my favorite ingredients. You could probably also use olive juice if you wanted salt in there. That would work as well. Because the tomato paste doesn't have much in it, but usually like a cocktail sauce or a chili sauce, the base is basically almost like a ketchup. Ooh, that's good. And then a little bit of lemon goes in. Fresh lemon. A seed. That we don't want. So if I taste it again, you want it spicier? I like it a little spicier than this. And then you can add a little bit more horseradish to it. If you can find some fresh grated horseradish, that would be awesome too. And that's the base. This is then some parsley, although this is like very wet parsley. I don't know how well this is gonna work, but we'll try. So parsley goes on there. So if you had lump crab meat, and if you know, like you eat that sort of thing, that would really look nice because it would look kind of like cheese. And we'll put a little bit of the parsley on. Oops. Well, that's not supposed to happen. Let's take that out. It's a little too wet to handle. It's kind of annoying. And then we can just like put some olives on it. These are the Castelvoltranos. They're my favorite olive. They're more fruity than they are salty. Here's some of the little black olives. Put some of them in there. Yeah, so you don't have to make the base for this too salty because like all these other little ingredients are pretty much going to make up for any lack of salt you may think that you have. Keep in mind, the more salt that you use, the more your guests will probably consume beverages, whether it's alcoholic beverages or anything. That's why they serve salty snacks in bars. Okay, so here we have that. I think Susie's makes a good saltine type of cracker that doesn't have any like funky, weird ingredients in it. It's a good one. Mushrooms over here. Just look right here. Oh yeah, this is looking really nice. Okay, I'm actually going to declare that almost cooked. I'm going to cut the heat on that particular dish. And I'll put this here and here. Just like put our stuff off to the side over here. And stuff there. So got a arugula, right? Okay. Plate here. And we have some bread that we cut up. Where's our bread? There's some pita that we made that, you know, like obviously that can be served like with the hummus if you like. That looks really nice and just like do it off in a fan. I just need one piece here. So here's this nice, really crusty bread. And you can take this and I'll just use this. It's left over in our food processor. Just to show you. I have the blade still in there, so I'm being like real careful with it. Normally I take the blade out first. But it's kind of like an open face sandwich. You can also grill the bread too, but that's a lot of extra work. I don't think it's necessary because a lot of the other things that we have are going to have And we'll have the other half of the bread, please. Mm-hmm. There. Some of my, I'll use some of the hummus that was just like hanging out for a bit. So this one obviously has a lot more paprika in it. It's one that I had made in advance. You could use regular hummus with this as well. Then we take one can have a little bit of mushrooms. Put some arugula on it if you want. It's all nice and washed. Like an open face sandwich. And then some mushrooms on top there. Just like that. One. My corks aren't dirty. Sometimes a hot pot leaves marks. Here. Oops. You can do just like that. Or, you know, honestly, this is going to be delicious just on its own. So that can work together, and if you wanted to garnish it, or you could garnish it with anything else. But that's what I have for you today. Are there any questions about the dishes that we prepared?
At this time, everyone, if there are any questions or comments or praises that you would like to pass on to Susan, we would like to go through it in an orderly manner, just to make sure everyone has the ability to share and to ask. So if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. I can call on you, and you can feel free to share or ask. Or if you want to submit something to the comment section, we can ask verbally for you. I do have a few things that were asked earlier, so I'm going to try to do some rapid fire. We'll take about maybe 5 max 10 minutes at this moment for any questions. So I'm going to start with what was already in the chat though first. I have a question here. What do you think of Lino's Gold Salt?
I like the SI salt better. Yes, David Jackson is no longer in business of sea salt, but he recommends the person that he sold his email site to. So if you go look up SI Sea Salt, David's former email site for SI Salt, you'll come to the new people that are doing these things, and he has a lot of praise for them. So I spend a lot of time talking, you know, like with a lot of people about different salts. And if he says that's a good one, I'm going to count on that.
What was the brand of olive oil that you had used, or maybe a couple?
So this one is the Estranelli. Actually, you know what? Wait, where is this one from? This is a product of Spain or this? Spain. This is a Spanish olive oil. Spain has a lot of good olive oils.
Is that from Olive Oil Lovers?
This is not. I got this in De Bruno Brothers. in Philadelphia. But you could probably look it up, and you know, we can screenshot the little thing there. This is from olive oil lovers, but this is more for salads. This is like the day and the night. This is night. Came as a set. I used the day already. The day had a bumblebee. The night has a butterfly. This is another one that they send me a free gift. The Tamiya. Tamiya is also. These are from olive oil lovers. I didn't completely unpack my package from them.
Okay, and in regards to recipes that were used for this class, the recording will be available sent by way of email, and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you want to be able to review and to make these your own, definitely take a look at the recording that we will be providing for you later on when that is available. What was the brand of anchovies that you had used?
Oh, those are Ortiz. Yeah, I think these are the best ones, and a really good friend of mine who loves his Caesar salad and that has been using these for years. My friend Don likes these the best. A couple people.
Okay.
They're just like the cleanest ones. Basically, you have to read every label, so you don't want other crap in it. And you don't want it cut with canola oil or safflower oil or, like any other oil. You want it to be 100%. It'll say extra virgin olive oil. So that's what you're looking for when you're reading a label. So you have to be very, very careful. There's a lot of hype around like the seed oils right now, and they're not good for you. I think in moderation. Sesame oil is considered a seed oil, but when you think of the way sesame oil is used, it's used just so sparingly. It's not used, you're not using a ton of it or like frying like a lot of stuff in there. And then the other things, it's really like about like controlling the temperature of your oil, because you ideally don't want ever to have your oil smoke or anything. That's when it turns into like the bad stuff that causes cancer. But there's been a lot of research recently about how different seed oils and even certain olive oils that are not as good for you. So like if you're using a lot of it, I use it pretty much daily, but I don't like overload like my stuff in it. I certainly am not like taking a spoonful of oil like you see on like some like websites. There's a lot of information out there right now, and you really have to use discernment when you read something. You can't just like read one thing and say, "Oh yeah, okay, I got it," and like take this like research. You have to like research a lot of different things, which is something like that I do on a regular basis.
Okay, if there are any other questions at this time, we have about maybe 5 minutes or so. You can once again submit them to the. Actually, I'm going to remove that option. You can unmute yourself, and I can just call upon you. Did anyone have any questions about any of the recipes for today, or did anyone want to verbally even share how they like the recipes? Whether you want to utilize some of these in the upcoming weeks. Feel free to unmute yourself and you can do so.
Yeah, that's freaking good. That's like really, really good. Oh my God. That is so good. Yes. I declare it a winner.
Let me just make sure.
I made this one year for one of the special dinners that we had at SHI. We used to do like special like holiday dinners and things and elaborate things. I don't know if I made it for that or made it for like a New Year's party, like a 9-key New Year's party. But that was good.
All right. Well, I do not see any questions. Or wait, Janet, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, I just want to say that it looks so amazing. Thank you so much. It was delightful to watch you prepare all of that, and it just uplifted my spirits and got me motivated to make some beautiful dishes for the holidays, healthy dishes. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, that's what's, yeah, mushrooms are just like so good for you. You know, arugula, another like one of those just like great food. Parsley too. It's just like all like really, really good. And actually like having it raw like this is really good. So we're combining, you know, cooked things with like raw things and fermented things. So there's a lot of good here.
All right, well, I guess that's the time. We definitely want to thank everyone for tuning in for this presentation tonight. Of course, we wanted to have something special to send everyone off for the end of the year. And we know that the upcoming year of 2026 is going to be right around the corner. And we have a lot of information that we look forward to providing for you, different updates and things that we plan on doing for this new year. So make sure if you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, you're subscribed to our newsletter. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel as well too, so you can see the copy of this recording. But of course, I'll be also sending that in an email as well. So we always want to also thank our amazing donors and individuals who are able to support us. Without them, we would not be able to provide sessions like this, which was 100% free. So make sure when we send that recording out, if someone of interest, family member, friend, could be of benefit to this, send them a recording. Let them know about the work that we do here at SHI. And that's all I have. Susan, did you have anything else that you wanted to share?
I'm going to say thank you very much for everybody. This class is dedicated to my parents, my family, and Denny. All those people who are with us in spirit, but not here present. And as always, I dedicate everything to God. So thank you for everything. Thank you for being here and supporting us. And I wish everybody a very, very happy holiday season. Merry Christmas.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. We'll see you soon in 2026.
Thank you so much. Night.
Good night.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you too. I'm having another cracker. This is so good.